Hello and welcome to this series of interviews ahead of NoVacancy Hotel and Accommodation Industry Expo London 2026. I'm Dan Assor, I'm the event director of NoVacancy, and today it's my pleasure to be joined by Sinead Marron, who is the Director of Growth UK at Alkimii. How are you doing, Sinead?
I'm great, Dan, and thank you very much for having us. And we're very excited, I would say, for the event in February. We're looking forward to it already.
Thank you. I was just commenting before, you're in a fan. Just tell the viewers where that's not a Zoom background.
That's not a Zoom background. We can actually see the water moving. I am in Skerries, which is North Dublin in Ireland, and we're very lucky with our office. We're on the harbour, as you can see, we're haunted that we get to look out at that every day. We don't probably look out as often as we should, we have to look up from our desks, but we're very lucky to have it. And this is actually a room that we use for our customers come sometimes for management days out and use this as a training room with their teams, both for Alkimii training and for their own management team training as well. So we're very lucky.
Thank you. Looks like a beautiful spot. So, Sinead, before we get into some of the challenges that you're discussing with your clients presently, I'm just going to ask you, for those that aren't aware, just tell us a little bit about Alkimii and also your role within it, please.
Perfect. So I have been with Alkimii myself for 6.5 years, and I do think it's important to say that I come from an operational background in hospitality. I hate saying it, but it's real, where I've over 20 years experience as operational, at HOD level, deputy GM level, general manager level, and now with Alkimii for the last 6.5 years. So I suppose with Alkimii, one of the key reasons I suppose I even joined it is it's a platform that if I had it as a general manager, I think I'd still be a general manager. It's quite simple to say. And it's really a platform that manages your payroll, and that's such an important it's at the top of everyone's priority because it's the highest cost that we have in hotels. So it is managing your payroll, but on a day-to-day basis. And I suppose it's a hotel software system, but it's designed by a hotelier, and that's where we stand out. So top of our agenda will always be customer service, which I'm very happy to say we're at 98.9%. Our goal pre-Christmas is to get that to 99%. Because we listen to our customers, and we're trying to take the pain points that we felt when we were in operations and using software. We're trying to make everything as easy as possible for your teams to not have them sitting in front of computers for a long period of time. We want them on the floor with your guests. So payroll management would be key, but then HR processes would be key as well. So really looking at your HR compliance, your onboarding through HR automation, so everything digital, sending out your contracts, your policies, any documentation that you need a signature on will go through that, and then also focusing on reducing that turnover. And I know we might touch on that in a bit, is how looking at the employee experience and how do we reduce the turnover. We also have Alkimii Property, which really looks after your health and safety within the hotel. So very much looking at proactive and reactive maintenance, incident accident reporting, checklists like your fire walk linked to NFC tags. And then we also have Alkimii Insights as well, which really is that rich data that we need to be able to quickly pull reports and use data to make the best decisions possible for the hotels.
Thank you for the insight. So you referenced their payroll. So we're going to dive straight into three of the challenges that we're going to discuss today. The first one being payroll costs and transparency. I think it's fair to say, and you referenced it, one of the biggest pain points, and certainly one of the biggest costs for operators right now, is payroll. Often the single largest cost in the business, yet many teams still lack real transparency around what's sort of driving those costs today. What are your customers telling you, Sinead? Are the operators struggling more with forecasting, like real-time control, or simply understanding where the money's going? Just give us a flavour in summary of what your clients are telling you.
I think it's real. I know it's real. It's real-time control and transparency over where does the money go. So, and so many people are actually still, not everybody, but quite a few are still using manual processes. And what happens is, where we have monthly payroll, we find out at the end of the month, this is how we performed. but it's after the fact. It's not, and we're feeding that information back to the HRDs to go, this is how you performed, rather than day by day throughout that month, having conversations, giving them the tools that they have visibility and transparency over what their payroll is to help them make decisions and create a culture of transparency around your payroll so that there is no surprises when it gets to the end of the month. And by breaking it down, I suppose, into what we're really trying to get across to them is by breaking it down into that daily conversation and daily view of the data. It's a minimal amount of time on a daily basis that ultimately saves you a huge amount of time, number one, when it comes to actually running your monthly payroll, but also accuracy in terms of if we make decisions day by day, they're fresh in our mind. And my days from hospitality, it was hard to remember what happened yesterday, never mind a week ago.
Sure.
So you've got more accuracy around your payroll costs. And then I suppose making the admin when it comes to actually running that payroll much, much smoother. And one of the key features that we're trying to change is by giving them transparency. It's really teaching them that we're almost trying to teach them like payroll is like cash handling. Rosters equals cash. And where a lot of hotels will still focus on, I said this to somebody last week, do you still focus on the floats being down by 10 or 20 pounds at the end of a night? And everybody reacts and goes, absolutely, of course we do. Yeah. There's emails sent out, there's conversations had. But then where are the conversations about your biggest cost? Because if your payroll is off even 2 or 3 days in a row, that adds up to a lot more than a float being down by 10 or 20 pounds. So it's really changing the mindset. And I suppose that's what I'm finding people are not doing because they haven't got a system that's giving them the information for real-time performance every single day and having that conversation with their teams at their daily stand-up. And it's 10 seconds because I suppose like everything in life, if we don't talk about it and talk about it every day, repeat, it goes to the back of our minds. So by having that 10-second conversation about your rosters, your daily, we ask every team to do a daily sign off. And by having that done every single day and have they done it, it keeps that focus on payroll at the forefront of everyone's minds.
Thank you. And are you finding that different property types or different sizes of properties deal with this challenge differently? Like give us a sense of maybe some of the property types or sizes that you're speaking to and deal with GMs and teams.
Honestly, Dan, we work and deal with everybody from your smaller 3-star that might have 30 employees to your 5 stars that have golf, spa, everything included that might have 600 employees. But it's the same principle. It's the exact same principle, regardless of what you have. And everybody gets the same benefit. If you adapt the process that we ask your teams to follow, and you use the data that we're providing your teams, you will get the same results. So for us, we work with any independent franchise hotels, chain managed, as I say, your 3-star up to your 5-star or 500 or 600 employees. But our process, the Alkimii process that we ask your teams to follow, which is super simple, it's not taking up their time every day, but we kind of break it into a weekly process. And we say, if you follow this, and that adds up to then your ease of your monthly payroll, this is where you're going to save on your payroll costs, but also on your time as well. And your time that your managers can actually spend on the floor with your guests. So when I introduced Alkimii to everyone new, I obviously mentioned what the technology is. It's a cloud-based online system, so it's going to give you live information. But it is the process we ask your teams to follow. It's those day-by-day conversations, and you do get results because we're very happy to say we're at 97% in retention with our customers over the last 10 years, and we don't sign anyone into long-term contracts. So that proves to us people stay with us because how we train your teams and how we follow that, we ask them to follow that process, it makes a difference. And it changes that mindset completely. Sure.
And I guess sometimes, if people are looking closely at payroll, there's a bit of fear that sort of comes around that. Maybe feels a bit punitive for teams. How do you help businesses approach this in a way that supports staff and doesn't erode trust?
I suppose better transparency can be transformative, because you're now changing it from giving your managers a tool which will help them to actually perform, rather than, you know, the using it to say you didn't achieve this or you did achieve that. It's actually saying we're giving you the tool to help you be the best that you can be. And by not giving them that tool, you're never giving them an opportunity to be proactive here. It's always reacting to what was the result of that payroll. And one bad payroll, it could take months to pull that back. So, you know, what we're saying is we are giving your managers the tool in multiple different places that they can, and it's not just about, it's that change in mindset that this isn't just about cutting hours, and that has to change. It's not about cutting hours here. It's giving your managers the tool to say, you're not wasting any hours at a time when there's no revenue coming in. So it's visually seeing those work patterns that are coming through. And by making it part of, we like to talk about the meeting rhythm a lot, Dan, where, you know, we have it ourselves here in Alkimii. There's a daily meeting rhythm, there's a weekly meeting rhythm. And in hotels, a lot of the time there is, well, certainly when I was in operations, we would have had a weekly HOD meeting. And a lot of times you're talking through, you know, 20 different points, but was payroll ever one of them? And is it? When I ask any customers that question, they say no, it's not part of it. So rather than it being, you know, the negative, is let's change it into a positive. Let's make it part of that meeting again. So you have your daily stand up where it's a 10-second conversation, but put up your results from last week with payroll for 10 minutes. Put it up on screen. Like, we're sharing, you have the data, put it up on screen, and let's talk through, did we perform, did we not perform, and actually use it as a guide to make changes then for next week. Give your managers the opportunity to perform, rather than, you know, always having to go back with, you didn't hit your targets, you didn't do this, or the negative. Let's change it and be proactive and turn it into a positive conversation. Okay,
thank you. We're going to move on to one of the other challenges that absolutely most hotels are dealing with, staff retention. From your perspective, and I guess you've got an insight into this from when you worked as a hotel operator, what do you think is the real causes for the level of staff turnover in hotels today? Whether it be pay, workload, culture, burnout?
I think it's a mixture, Dan, if I'm being honest. Like, I would say consistency with the culture of how you do things. That's what I would say. And what I mean by that is, how often do we, or how far in advance do we give the schedule to our employees so they can actually plan their life around this? You know, small example, but it's important, and you'd be surprised at the amount of times it's still been issued last minute. And you know, that's definitely a key thing. I suppose, instead of waiting for exit interviews, you know, which everyone's putting a focus on exit interviews, again, I would say, let's change that mindset. Let's do those interviews while there's still an employee with us. So regular check-ins. A lot of, or the usual is, you would see maybe a yearly appraisal carried out in a hotel. And I don't like saying this, but it's true. I do ask, you know, customers when I meet them first, it's like, you know, how confident are you that a yearly appraisal has been carried out by every department and every employee in the last year? And a lot of times heads drop. The confidence isn't there. But then I ask the question, if that's once a year and that form has been filled in, it's put into a filing cabinet, how often are we taking that out to actually look at the goals, the career paths? What are the needs of that employee? So forget about the exit interview, regular check-ins with your teams 1 month after they've started, before the probationary review, a wellness check-in, you know, a clear career path for those that want a career path. Not everybody does, and some employees would be happy at the level, but know that information, know who's happy at this level, and who actually is there to work on a career. So getting those goals and communication around those goals and what we're going to do, like what training plans are we going to put in place in them. And I know a lot of what I'm saying, it actually sounds simple, but it has an enormous impact. And we've seen that with our customers. Doing surveys with your teams, so sending out surveys to your teams on a regular basis, but sharing then the action points of those surveys with your team. So, everybody can do a quick survey, but how are you sharing the impact? Because if an employee fills out a survey and never sees the results of it, never sees the changes that might happen, doesn't feel that their input into that survey, their voice was heard, they're going to stop doing it. So really encouraging, get your surveys. Don't be afraid to ask your teams how you can improve. How are you feeling? Is there anything that we can do to support your roles? Getting those surveys. And then we do have as part of our platform a newsfeed platform. So it's like sharing good news. So what we always encourage our customers, and they are doing it, the ones that are working on their turnover reduction, is they're sharing their action points through the newsfeed. So that reaches all of your employees, not just your managers. It reaches everybody, and it allows your teams then to visually stay part of the culture of the organization. They know exactly what's happening, and they can see the positive impact that you're trying to make for the employees again. So I suppose it allows them to feel heard, it allows them to feel respected, and as a result of that, it's just setting them up for success. So those little things have a huge impact, and unfortunately we're not there in hospitality as putting that to the forefront of our focus. There's a lot of talk around trying to make hospitality a career again for everybody, because I do believe, and I think most of your listeners will agree, that unfortunately we've lost that a little bit throughout the way. And everything I've just mentioned helps to bring that back. Setting your goals, setting your career path. What is that career path? What training do we need? Let's really look after the people that want to be part of this team and progress them throughout their journey, and make it feel like the culture is, this is a really serious career again, and we're going to support you throughout that.
Sure. And I guess it's around creating the best employee experience. I mean, from an outsider looking in, everything you've just mentioned, you can apply to most business sectors. Mm-hmm. But I guess in hospitality, my uneducated view from sort of looking at the industry would be maybe it's a bit harder because people work in shift patterns. It's not like they're working in one office 9 to 5 where there's set times that they can come together. So, and I guess the week can just run away from you pretty quickly in the months and the years that you haven't actually had interacted with the employees as much as you should do.
And I think two of our applications that we have will be chat, that you have a direct chat line with your employees, whether that be with the entire hotel, whether that be with a group, that you want to have a direct chat immediately with one of your employees. And that news feed is by sharing what's happening around the hotel, celebrating big events that everyone's put a huge amount of work into. It really improves the culture within your organization. And yes, you're right, Dan, every organization, not just hospitality, but I suppose it's the piece in hospitality maybe that I feel we're lacking in. Yeah. And I suppose, so that's everything I suppose we can do to prevent it. But then I also look at the using the data that we actually do have. So are we really actually going in and looking, like, one of our products insights that I mentioned earlier is what's the turnover, but what are the roles, what are the departments, what is the level that we're missing out on, and really getting into that data and saying, okay, well, what are we missing here? So if we've lost managers and they all seem to be in food and beverage, are we actually analysing that and saying, well, what do we need to do to improve that? Are we involved in any benchmarking that needs to happen, which is also something that Alkimii looks after, is, are we paying the correct rate of pay for the standard that's out there? Are we actually getting into the detail? Is it absenteeism? What are the hours actually worked for those managers? Were they actually working their contracted hours? Were they working double their contracted hours? What was happening with these employees? And really use the data to make that decision. So I suppose it's given managers the tools to lead and not firefight. Yeah. And that's what we're saying for your HR managers when it comes to turnover and that employee experience. Thank
you. I want to finally move on to technology adoption. There's not a day or definitely a week that goes by. There's a new piece of kit seemingly out in the market, and I can imagine that for GMs, owners, other heads of department, it's quite difficult to understand which new shiny tool they might want to implement. Why do you think so many tools maybe fail to land with frontline managers, and how generally do you think they should go about assessing which tool that is the best fit for them?
I think a lot of times and I'll focus just on hospitality software, a lot of times you're not putting yourself in the shoes of the person that's actually using the system.
Yeah.
And I say that, based on my time in operations, the thought process behind, what you're using on a day-to-day basis wasn't taking into account what my actual job is, how much I need to be on the floor, how much I need to be out there with my teams, with my guests. So, and I suppose that is a huge focus for us. As I mentioned at the very beginning, we're a hotel software, but it's designed by hoteliers, and I, as I said, have the operational experience. So I've walked in the shoes of the people. So every time we put a new feature into Alkimii or a new button into Alkimii, what we're really doing is we're actually taking that from our customer feedback. So we actually put out regular surveys with our customers to say, and we openly encourage them to share feedback with us. And, where we will design something and we will say, we think this will work, we will always get customer feedback on, does this actually work for you in your role, whether that be from HR, whether it be reporting and finance, whether it be just additional buttons that will help your HODs to build a roster. It comes from the customer's voice. And it's very rare that will happen. I do think as well that I did mention about us not tying people into contracts. There are a lot of long-term contracts out there, and that in our view, if you're stuck in a long-term contract, you might sign up for X and the hope that you might get Y and Z, but Y and Z never actually happen. And that customer service that I mentioned, that's huge. Customer service and technology for us will always be up there, and it's having a human to speak to at the end of it. It's getting those quick responses, and it's finding out if somebody's not happy, why are they not happy? We always will look at those answers and strive to improve. And I think as well, and this is just one small example of how we think about this, is we don't want, and I've mentioned it already, people sitting in front of computers for long periods of time. So part of that daily process that we ask the managers to follow, we've taken just that one piece of daily and put it onto a mobile phone. So your managers technically don't need to come away. They might have 5 minutes, in the middle of a busy operation to just actually go in and have a look at some of the data. So we're trying to always think about how do we make it easy for managers to do what we're asking them to do, follow this process, but we want to make it as simple and easy as possible for them. And I suppose I'm happy to say that that's what we're achieving, Dan, because that's the feedback that we get. I had a customer review there only it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week, but it basically said my only con is that I waited too long to make the decision. Yeah, that I should have put it in sooner, and sure. I thought, well, that says everything to me.
Yeah, well, that's at least a good place to be in. And what technology shifts do you see coming on the track, not just in the business you're in, but just generally? Because obviously there's, the conversations around AI, how that's going to automate day-to-day tasks, I guess, might affect the workforce again across every business, not just hospitality. What are people saying to you, and what's on your roadmap for the future? If we're sitting here in 2 or 3 years' time, where do you think we're going to be from a tech stack perspective?
I think, look, AI is a big conversation. There's no question about that at the moment. And where When I do a presentation of Alkimii, I actually wasn't including AI because I want, your managers to really be thinking, and I want to keep the human element in it. But every time I didn't put it up, I was asked, where's your AI? Everybody needs AI. But now I include it, and as soon as I put it up on screen, I see pullback. I see people retracting, almost going, oh no, we're not ready, we're not there for that. I suppose that is the reality, and what we're really trying to do is help with that transformation. So for example, I've talked about the data an awful lot, and within Alkimii, we're actually putting in what's called Ask Alkimii. So where we have the data to make it simple, we still want to keep the level of interaction from your managers, but where you can just type in a question, ask the system something, and when we have the data, we will pull together those reports. So being able to quickly put your hands on reporting, because obviously, look, whether you're an independent hotel chain, there's certain owners need certain reports, and we're really trying to make that nice and simple. I suppose, where do I see us in 5 years' time is hoping that, yes, we can use AI to help us make decisions, but that we still look at the human, beside that, and still work with training the human how to work with the decisions that AI is putting forward. So I suppose I'm not sure if that's really answering your question, where do I see us in 5 years' time? But it's finding that balance, I think, between AI and the human decision, the human thought process behind those the information AI is giving you as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, ultimately, humans got to be there to interpret the results that AI can give us, right? So we're not going to lose that human interface with the data and the teams.
But I do think that's an important reminder, Dan, because a lot of times I am asked that question, like, AI is going to do X, Y, Z, and it's and a few panels that I've been to in the last couple of weeks and months, that is the message that everyone's trying to get across. We still need the human to make the decisions.
Sinead, thank you. You're with Team Alkimii, going to be exhibiting at NoVacancy London in February. Give us a flavour of what people can expect when they come to visit your stand. Why did you choose to be at the event? Why are these events generally exciting for you guys to attend?
I think it's just a great opportunity to prompt discussions. Like, I suppose I really want to just have discussions with people. I want to find out what their pain points are. I don't want to, I've never been one to push, our software into your face. I want to really hear, what are your pain points? What is your focus? What is your action plan for the next year? And really then see how I can take pieces of Alkimii and help you solve those problems. So that's what it's conversations that I want to have. It's not, dates and diaries. I want to have conversations. I really want to see, because that's what I'm passionate about. I want Alkimii and the team at Alkimii want to be working with partners, I suppose, that really see the benefit to having a tool that can make a difference. And by having those conversations at the event, I think it will really help me to be able to say to you, you're ready for this, and this is what we can do, and these are the benefits of changing. Because I have a quote, Dan, that I do like to put up at the end of my presentations. It's by Robin Sharma. And change is hard at first, it's messy in the middle, but it's gorgeous at the end. And that is a key message that I want to actually get out to people, because everybody is afraid of change. Like, it's the fear, it's the unknown. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier to stick with what we have than actually go to the work to change it, even though you know that the benefits will be there. So it's really, I want to talk to people, I suppose, about how I can make that change easier for them, how we train your teams. Like, we put a lot of effort into how we specifically train, and that's where we do stand out from others. So, I want to see if I can help you, as opposed to just tell you about a software. I really want to listen to you. So come to me with your pain points, and I'll try and find a solution.
Thank you. And it's funny you say that about change, because it's the only thing that's guaranteed.
This is it. This is it. It is guaranteed. But but it's still. I have that a lot, Dan. I have that a lot. Look, it's too much work for us to change. It's too much work for us to move. Even though we're going to save you time and we're going to save you money, we'd rather stick to what we do. So give me the opportunity to tell you how easy I'm going to make that for you. I think that's why I would encourage people to come and talk to me at NoVacancy, which, as I said, we're really excited about.
And we're excited to have you. Look forward to seeing you at the event. Thanks, Sinead, today.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dan.